Hello, good morning. Coffee in hand. You know, living with a Filipina can be problematic. It can be also an enjoyment. But for many of you, I often think that when I read the emails that I receive from you guys, and I do appreciate them, and I try and answer them as best I can. But one of the most difficult things that so many of you appear to live with is that's the feeling of control and fear. I say that in a light-hearted way because, nobody controls me, or do they? Because fear is a great tool in which to keep us all in line. You know, I tell you often the best word to remember is no. The best thing to uh, focus on is yourself, and also to ensure that nobody rules you. That doesn't mean to say that when we wish to be kind, generous, that we can't be. But there tends to be a certain aspect of many Filipino that what is yours is theirs too. To a degree, with any kind of relationship, that's fairly obvious. But it takes on a new meaning in the Philippines in the sense that they see life from a different perspective than we do. Sure, we bring security, financial security anyway, to many a Filipino who, until they met you, often were living from pillar to post. And now that you're on the scene, life seems a little bit less stressful. But of course, we observe that as being that a happy wife is a smiling wife, one that is always attentive. But when they're no longer attentive, are they happy? One has to ask the question, when do we know they're happy? Of course, when we go out shopping, we're spending money, they're always happy, even in the most simplest form, at the market, at the supermarket. It's always a great feeling to see the fridge full of lovely goodies ready for distribution onto the table. But for many Filipinos, fridges are not something that they are brought up with. They're brought up with daily purchases of food to make the meal that's going to be eaten that day. Therefore, the need for a fridge is not so important. But a fridge represents something completely different once you're with a foreigner. First of all, oh, you have a two-door fridge, or a four-door fridge, or even just a fridge. And that, of course, then opens up the Pandora's box to see what's inside it. And you'll find that relatives who call by always are attracted to the fridge. Because the fridge represents free food, free opportunity for a nibble at something that's maybe been cooked earlier and is just waiting for them, unannounced, to feed themselves religiously. I can recall many times when members of the family would call around and look in the fridge for something to eat while they supposedly came round to see one of their relatives. It's a Filipino thing. They'll give you food before they give you anything else. But What I'm meaning is that with the extended family, there's always this will to make sure that there's always something there for somebody who might come unannounced. I mean, even here, I've seen family members come here, and the first thing that we do is offer them something to eat. Then, of course, when they go, they have to have something to go with. Now, you could say that's a quaint little custom. Like when you go away, they always expect something to be brought back for them. You've been overseas, you've been on a holiday. Where's my gift? Do we ever do that in the West? I don't think we really do. Okay, it's lovely when somebody brings you back a gift, but we don't expect it. A Filipino almost expects it and feels a little bit out of sort when, of course, that doesn't happen. But these are just some of the little things that you'll find within your Filipino family. Of course, you'll have a mother or a father come and stay with you. And then maybe a cousin or a sister. And you notice that they're not in a hurry to leave. Why is that? Maybe they also like the good life, the opportunity of plenty of food and good times, a good little chinwag as well. But as foreigners, we have to accept that when you find that beautiful Filipina, you also find a lot of people that are related to them. Not always brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, often cousins from far way back on the line. Once the grapevine lets them know that so-and-so has a foreigner boyfriend or husband, you will be surprised how many family members want to get to know you. Again, that word is very useful, no. Meaning no for money, no for hospital bills, no for this and that. Because as much as we might want to be the great provider, we really can't afford, like they might think we are millionaires, but we really can't afford to support more than one family at a time. Unless, of course, you're high up in the money market. Then, of course, it's up to you whether you want to do that. But guys, just remember, you marry or you live with the family as well. Bye now.